Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Hide and seek, the failed version. Psalm 139 from verse 7 to 12 says, Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. This is some amazing revelation about God, my friend. It is something to think about, that He can find you anywhere you go. God is uniquely different from us because we cannot be in two different places at the same time. Let me give you an example. I had recently started teaching history in a high school. The classroom had one door. One day after the end of the class, I walked out of the room, leaving most of the students behind me, including Peter. I'm walking down the corridor when I see Peter approaching me from the opposite direction. Hold on, didn't I just leave Peter in the classroom that only has one door? So how comes he's walking towards me from the opposite direction? I would have let it go, but the phenomenon was too great to be ignored. So I turned around and headed back to the classroom to make sure I'm not going crazy, and there was Peter in the room. By now, the person on the corridor has walked up to the door. They were two different persons, two lookalikes. They were twins, and the one on the corridor was Paul. What was I thinking? I was foolish enough to think that Peter could have moved so fast, or was he somewhat able to be in two places at the same time? Well, God doesn't have a twin, and indeed He can be everywhere. But let us take this characteristic of God a step further. Let us try to engage God in a game of hide and seek. In Jeremiah 23, verses 23 and 24, we read, Am I only a God nearby, declares the Lord, and not a God far away? Who can hide in secret places so that I cannot see them, declares the Lord? Do not I fill heaven and earth, declares the Lord? Try hiding from God. Now, your reason to be hiding from God makes for interesting discussion. There's a game that kids play, hide and seek, and it is really a test of their smarts. Who can outsmart the other person so that they can hide and cannot be easily found? But those kids grow up and they play hide and seek at an advanced level when they try to do things or go places that their parents might not approve of, or try to lie about their whereabouts. You know the famous act of creating the impression of someone lying under the covers using pillows and blankets, and then sneaking out through the window for some rendezvous. The plan is to go off to a party, for example, that our parents did not approve of, and should mom come checking the room, she will think that her teenage son is under the covers, sound asleep. This smart kid hopes to get back in the house without ever being caught. Can we really play that game with God? God debunks that myth in the form of questions that we have to give serious thought to. He asks if we think He is limited in His ability, that He can only be near or far, not near and far at the same time. He knows that you will eventually discover that He can be in both places at the same time. So if you think you can leave God in church, for example, and sneak out quietly and turn up at another location and He is not there, you are sadly mistaken. But this is where your limited opinion of God really falls apart. He challenges you on the notion of being able to hide from Him, because He fills the heavens and the earth with His presence, which makes it impossible to hide anywhere in the universe. Not only can He find you wherever you hide, but He sees you wherever you go, period. That last thing about God seeing you everywhere you go has serious implications. Right now, it doesn't matter who you are. You need to know that God sees everything you do, and I mean everything. Have you ever thought you can do something that is totally secret, that nobody will find out, that nobody can distinguish you under disguise, and that you can get away with it? As a child of God, you might choose to engage in some secret activities and in some secret location, and no one from your church community will ever know, and they will never find you. You outsmarted them. Like the young man who was inviting a friend from church to go on a weekend trip with him and told her they would share hotel room together because no one from church will ever find out. She told him God would see. My friend, we cannot hide from God, and we cannot hide our actions from God or even our thoughts from God. That is pretty scary, because I'm sure you can think of some things you have done that you didn't want anyone to see, not even God. But you realize that God saw it all, and He knows where you were. It's time to confess to God the secret sins you were able to hide from others, except you now know that God saw. We really should not try to play the game of hide and seek with God. The game is done even before we start, because God is everywhere and He sees everything. It makes sense to do what is right, regardless of wherever you are, because He sees it all and knows where you are at all times. We cannot hide from God.